Well, good morning, friends.
Good morning, Father.
Always good to be with you here where we have spring training just around the corner here and things are going well. We got summer coming up soon enough. So today is a message of hope. The sun is coming out tomorrow. Now, my friends, as we're listening to today's gospel, and as I was preparing for a homily here, I was thinking about a book that I'm reading. It's a biography. Inside the biography, it's about a man who, at a young age, has a significant tragedy befall him in his life. Hard for him to kind of recover from this at this point. And the familiar ties that he has aren't as strong as he wants. And so as he's growing up, he gets into various issues of trouble, and he's drinking and using narcotics as well. It's kind of an interesting story to hear it. You know, your heart kind of goes out there, and inside of that person is really, I think, struggling and trying to get someplace inside their life. But they struggle through this whole thing because they feel that they're missing something inside their life. In reading the book, one of the things that the author had said was that though he was Christian and would have been brought to chapel or church, he himself wasn't a religious person. And when I heard that, I thought, well, how sad that is. And he goes further to say that where he sees God is in nature itself. And I think there is that pursuit for the knowledge of God, and he's on track at least to move closer to find God inside his life. But what's eluded him really is a full understanding of the gospel of Jesus Christ. When I think about that, I think about another story, and actually it's St. Augustine's Confessions. You know, he was always pursuing the truth, but along the way he wasn't living such a great moral life inside there, but he knew there was something greater for his life that God intended for him, and he would eventually find that through, of course, his mother praying so many years for him, but he would find the Catholic faith, he would be baptized, he would become a priest, and then become a bishop. He writes that book, The Confessions, and it's a very sincere story inside there about how he stumbled along the way, but how he finally found that pursuit inside there. And certainly my prayer is for that other biography I read of that person, that they too find that, because God does have great things in store for all of us. You know, when I say my heart kind of feels a little bit bad when someone says that they're not religious, it's because of all they're losing in not being religious. I mean, to be a Christian and not to expose oneself to the Word of God in a deep and abiding way is to set ourselves back. We listen, but you know, this struggle is very real here. Here we hear in the book of Sirach, my son, when you come to serve the Lord, stand in justice and fear, prepare yourself for trials, be sincere of heart and steadfast. That's wisdom and literature. He goes off to say that incline your ear and receive the word of understanding, undisturbed in time of adversity. So what he's saying inside there is that in that life that we have, we are going to have adversity that's going to befall us. But God's always going to be with us. This is wisdom literature that we're listening to. That's why I say, I feel for anybody who says they're not religious to pick up the Word of God, especially the wisdom literature in what we're reading today in the book of Sirach, certainly is something that's worthy of us spending the time and investing into it. But certainly I think Sirach, in the book of Sirach, as well as we hear in today's gospel, we hear the difficulty it is in getting to that wisdom and living it out inside our lives. See, what we're told to do is, God created us and we're called to serve God in all that we do. And that even when the trials happen and adversity happens, what is the Christian message, isn't it? Doesn't Jesus tell us we have to carry the cross? If we fall down, get right back up and carry the cross? Correct? That's exactly what he says to us. And as we listen to Mark's gospel here, we hear the same thing. Jesus' disciples are following him, and Jesus goes off and tells them some truth he says, the Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him. And 3 days after his death, the Son of Man will rise. Well, what would your reaction to that be? You'd be shocked, wouldn't you? I mean, your bosom buddy is telling you that he's going to be killed? I mean, how else would you take that? What do? We hear the next thing. Jesus says to them, hey, by the way, what are you talking about? And what do they go off and say? Oh, we're not talking about anything. And they're fighting amongst themselves to see who was the greatest. What does that tell us? It tells us that painful news that he had given to them was too much for them to bear, and they couldn't handle it, and so they went off to something of a lesser nature itself. They will come back, and certainly they will serve the Lord in beautiful ways as well. And they will learn how it is that when one falls down, one needs to stand up. But remember, what wisdom literature tells us and the gospel tells us is that when that happens, it is God who is with us, and God who will help us, and Jesus Christ who will help us stand up as we carry our crosses.